Yeah. Okay. My name is Susan Garrett, and this is the first video in our series, Dog Training for Agility. Dog Training for Agility. And let me tell you how this all came to be. Back at the end of 2015, we opened this small membership area for our little community of students that work with us online. And we called it Agility Nation. And what we did was every week we'd put out little training ideas on the details of how I train behaviors with my dogs, how I train, simple things from like how to shape a tire, how to shape a long jump. Then it got a little more complex, working through seesaws or weave pulls, how I train Momentum to do her running contacts. It kind of grew and grew and grew. And as we went along over the last, I guess it's probably been close to 18 months, I realized that this is something a lot of people weren't getting. That the things that I just assumed that people got good direction on the dog training for agility, it wasn't happening. And when I looked around, people are really wrapped up in handling, which is a big part of dog agility, and it's great that you get wrapped up in handling, but handling becomes a lot easier when you have the skills trained into your dog and also the skills trained into yourself. So that's how that little community got to be. And I thought, heck, if this has been so impactful in our little community, I imagine that they just represent a small portion of the rest of the agility community. So why don't I just put out a series of videos that's going to help everyone worldwide, whether they're part of our immediate community or not, to understand good scientific dog training and how it can make your agility so much easier for you. All right, so you with me? If you're watching this on Facebook, let's have some hearts. Right now, you're not watching it anywhere else, but on Facebook. Eventually, we're going to share it. So in the first video, what I'm going to share with you is the difference between training for the illusion of a behavior versus training for the understanding of a behavior. And they're two very, very different things. I'm going to show you what I believe are the two biggest mistakes that people do regularly every day in their training at home that actually sabotages their success once they get to the agility ring and start competing. So there's two really key, to me, very obvious, but they're ongoing. And it's not just people brand new to the sport that are making this mistake. This mistake is made routinely by high-end world team level people. I see it constantly when somebody comes to me for with their dog training challenge. It's one of the biggest mistakes that I see. And I've helped people, obviously, in my almost 30 years of doing agility, I've helped a lot of people just starting out in the sport, but I constantly get people emailing me that maybe they even just won a world championship or they've been on multiple world teams, but they're stumped. We all have somebody we go to when we're stumped, and over the years, a lot of people, I've been that person because there isn't a lot of scientific dog training out there. So that's how this all came to be. That's what you're going to learn today is those two mistakes. We're going to show you the difference between the illusion of training and behavior and actual understanding. And then at the end, I'm going to give you a step-by-step. It's 5 steps to evaluate your own training and see if there's things that you've been doing that you can fix right now at the end of the video today. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to start with this story. I forgot my prop. Andrea, do you have my prop for me, please? All right, this happened. It's a true story. I'm going to withhold names so that there is no damaging evidence against anyone's personality. Phil, can you just back this up a little bit because I'm going to need this. Okay, so I was this goes back in 1996, I believe. I was just dating John, and John and I, we've been together ever since. And he was an obedience judge at the time, and I was hanging out at the trial, talking to him at the very end of the trial. We had maybe only had a couple dates, so I was officially what us Canadians refer to as a puck bunny, right? Just somebody who hangs around the dressing room door waiting to see one of the stars. Not really, but sort of. Okay, so John, he had just finished judging, and he was standing there, and maybe he had his briefcase in his hand. This woman came over, and she had worked her Doberman in the utility ring, and her dog didn't go up on the signal sit. So she gave the signal sit, and the dog just lay there. So she came over to John, and she said, "Could I borrow your briefcase, please?" John said, "Sure." So she walks over to her Doberman, who she had put in a down. She puts the briefcase beside the dog. She walks out in front, and she gives her signal again. And the dog does exactly what Minty did. Huh? So she does it again. She looks at John, gives him this, indulgent glance, and then picks up the briefcase, comes over and says, "Yeah, I thought so." And I'm like, I had no clue what was going on. So she left, and I said to John, what was all that about? And he said, when her dog was doing the signal exercise, at the end of the ring, behind her was the judge's table, and under the table was John's briefcase. She wanted John to know that her dog failed that exercise because he could see the briefcase. Mind blown for me, because how could anybody make those connections? So the number one reason why people make brutal mistakes in their training is because they try to, or they believe in their heart, they'll tell me, well, what my dog was thinking was this. Any sentence that starts with, what he was thinking, none of us knows what they're thinking. Half the time I don't even know what I'm thinking, but we surely don't know what our dog is thinking. And so what happens is we get this illusion that we know what we should be training based on what we think our dog is thinking. And it happens to everybody. You will take tangents in your training based on what you've decided in your heart is fact. I see it in agility, like jumping is the easiest one. Let's say you have a dog that is a little bit high and they start knocking bars. Well, people will say, he wasn't even care. He was careless. He didn't even care. He was just thinking he wanted to get faster. So instead, and by putting it that way, what happens is you take all the responsibility of the training away from you. You don't say, let me evaluate the history of jump training that I've given this dog. Let me evaluate how the coping mechanisms I've given this dog to deal with the excitement of a trial. We just say, he was thinking this, and that's why he knocked those 4 bars. He was thinking about this. You'll see it also at the start line, where people will say, oh, I think he was worried about the guy with the black hat, so I didn't make him sit, so we just went. Or I let him run off his contact because I think that what he was thinking was that the wind blew, and he was thinking he could smell like the potato chips from the vendors. And so what happens is you create this ongoing, incorrect, non-factual, non-scientific drama, and that's what you're basing your training on. And so you will make decisions in the middle of the ring. And what happens, and here's the truth about dog training. Dogs do what is reinforcing. And so if, for example, on the weekend, I asked Momentum to sit, and the first obstacle was a tunnel, and she said, no, I'm not going to sit because I'm just laser locked on this tunnel, and you just say the word and we're going. Now, if I had said, oh, I think what she's thinking is that she can't sit here because she's worried because we've never had a tunnel as a first obstacle in a trial before, and she doesn't want me to leave, I think I should just let her go. The truth is, we've never had a tunnel as a first obstacle before, but I had no clue what she was thinking. I didn't care. Here's where it was from my perspective. I asked you to do this behavior. You didn't do this behavior. Therefore, we're not going to do the behavior you're predicting. You have to do the one I'm waiting for. All right? It's pretty simple when you just break it down to, here's what I want, here's what I asked for, here's what I've got. Now, if the first two don't equal the third, I can't go on. And if I do go on, I'm actually rewarding you for what you did. What I want isn't what you did, but I let you go, therefore what you did is what I'm going to get next time. That's how it works. Trying to think what your dog is thinking, and it's innocent. It happens so often, and it's really, you create more ammunition for your dog to continue to do what they're doing. Now, here's the other side of this story. Good dog training is about observing what happens and making note of that. So let's go back to the woman with the briefcase. Let's say there is a chance in a quadrillion that that briefcase actually did affect her dog's ability to do its sit, which I don't even know if a quadrillion is high enough odds, but let's say it was. What you would do is not say, there, it's the briefcase's fault, darn you, judge. What you would do is you would go to your next training session and you would get things that look like briefcases, and you might put them 20 feet away, 30 feet away, 10 feet away, and you would note, does my dog's behavior change? I'd be willing to bet that what really was going on with that Doberman is the second biggest mistake that I see people make in their dog training, and that is training to illusion. We'll get to that in a second. I want to keep on this one. I'm going to share a story about Linda Orton-Hill, and Linda's sitting over there with the computer, so it's not like I'm talking behind her back. I'm talking right in front of her. So Linda has this amazing, awesome golden retriever named Spirit. Spirit was, she represented Canada on multiple world teams, amazing dog, just, one of those very special Goldens. When Linda was training Spirit, it started right here in this building in puppy class. She was maybe, 15, 16 weeks old, and she was a wiggly golden. Oh, I'm so happy, field-bred golden, really wiggly. And as I would walk by the different people working, Spirit would leave Linda and rush up to me and get all wiggly. Oh, I love the auntie. And Linda would just say, Spirit, come on back. And Spirit would come back. So here's mistake number one. Linda didn't realize the impact of her dog leaving work, number one. Number two, she didn't realize the reinforcement value of the dog being called, building a behavior chain of, I do something you don't want, you call me, and I get a reward for coming back. Now, this went on until we went outside as Spirit got older, and there's a fenced-in field, and we would train out there, and she would then maybe bolt to the fence to see the golfers on the other side of the road. Linda would once again just call her back. She would come back and go back to work. So maybe Linda was wise enough to not give her a reward for coming back every time, but she would still get the reinforcement of going back to work. So what is the dog learning? The dog's just learning from the environmental circumstances that when I'm working with you, it's all cool and there's great rewards, but I'm a field-bred golden who just loves to run. So if I want the reinforcement of running, I can take that too. And this went on until Spirit was maybe a year and a half old, and Linda was training out in the field. I actually was in California teaching, and I phoned home to see how everything was, and John just said, here, speak to Linda. And Linda was sobbing, and John didn't want to deal with the sobbing, so let me talk to her. Just a coincidence that I phoned at that time. So here's what happened. Linda was training out in the field, no fences, and Spirit was in standing heat and decided, I'm going to go, but there's no fences, and she was gone for 2 hours. And where she was found was in the golf course playing with the ducks in the pond. Big reinforcement for a field-bred golden. So all of these observations that didn't happen led to a catastrophic problem, which took Linda a good year to work through, to create a different behavior so that Spirit didn't feel like turning and leaving in the midst of their training session and did become a great, reliable agility dog as well as a great, reliable pet who could be trusted in any environment off leash. But that all happens because instead of thinking what your dog is thinking, you need to be present for what's happening and observe what's happening, and don't just rely on the crutch of maybe you have the dog on a long line, so that's a crutch that doesn't give you information, or you just call them back because there's really nowhere to go. Okay? So don't fall into that trap of thinking you know where you're going and where your training is going. Observe the behavior, know what was in the environment when the behavior happened, and work to train through that so that you get good, reliable behavior. Okay, now let's go on to the second biggest mistake that I see people make, and that is training, not just agility, it's everything. It's just rampant in dog training. Training to the illusion of a behavior versus training to the understanding of a behavior. I'm going to bring in this fancy dancy little chart that we're just going to go over here? Okay, cool. Me and my artistic abilities. When we first start training for our dogs, it's just all about the cookies. It's all about the cookies, or maybe your dog loves toys. It's all about the toys. It's all about doing whatever that dog loves to do. It really is nothing to do with agility. Probably not a lot to do with you either, depending on what foundation you had before. Now, if you've come through our Recallers program, it's probably a lot to do with you. All right, then you're going to do some training. So these lines in here represent some dog training. Now, that dog training may take on the form of luring, may take on the form of shaping, and it may take on a little bit of both. But let's, for example, take you're training your contacts, and you put a margarine lid out and you put a cookie on the margarine lid, and you get your dog to just take a step off and eat the cookie. And then you back up and you get them to go a little further and eat the cookie off the margarine lid. Before you know it, your dog can do the entire dog walk all the way down, stop in position, and eat the cookie off the margarine lid. Your dog's doing agility. Your dog's doing a dog walk. You have created the illusion of a behavior. And what happens is every time people train, they load up that contact with a cookie. Now, it may not be a cookie anymore. It may be you. So you do a dog walk or a seesaw or an A-frame or weave poles with you right beside the dog, so that you are an attachment of that behavior. The behavior doesn't exist without you in a certain position or a certain distance away, or the reinforcement that the dog loves. It doesn't have to be in a margarine lid. It can be the dog knows that it's on you. Maybe it's their favorite ball or a squeaky toy. Okay? So that's the illusion. What we want is we want to create a bomb-proof understanding. And by the way, those of us, I did it myself. You start trialing your first agility dog, they're trialing with illusion, with only illusion for behavior. My first agility dog, Shelby, we went to our first ever agility trial back in 1989, and she jumped off of every contact, and we had 65 faults in that first round. I have told that story many times, and it is the truth. 65 faults in that first round, because what I thought was good, solid behavior was an illusion of behavior. And not only was my handling so bad, and I had all these off courses, I had no contacts, and back then we did the weave pole dance where we went in and out. It was just horrific. All right, I had an illusion, and some of you watching this, maybe you had that illusion with your first dog. The key is we want to examine your current training, all parts of it, and see what's illusion and what's real. And I'll show you how to do that at the end of today's video. So what we want to create is bomb-proof understanding, that your dog gets it. And I refer to this as, can you do it in a box? Because no matter what you're doing, your dog gets that you want them to do this. Run and do whatever I've just cued, all right? We take a dog like this into competition, and now we're trialing with a dog who is both confident and competent. And we are setting ourselves up for success. Here we're setting ourselves up for disappointment, right? Here our training sabotages our trialing experience. Here our training supports our training, our trialing environment. All right, so let's say you've done all the layers of training that have built up to a bomb-proof understanding. Here's the thing. It never stays here, people. Behavior is either continuing to grow through environmental reinforcement or it's slipping. So it can go from bomb-proof down to an illusion pretty darn fast. Now, it might not get all the way back to an illusion. You know, illusion really happens with your foundation training. But it can slip back down very quickly. Think of a start line. If you don't recognize what your dog sees as the pattern of the release, you will have no start line. So dogs who drop their shoulders, who lift their hocks off the ground, who lift the hairs of their butt and their tail off the ground, I promise you, that's a dog who is going to lose their start line very, very soon. Okay, so you might have what you thought was a bomb-proof behavior, and it might have been bomb-proof for your first few trials, but not observing the patterns of behavior that led your dogs up to your dog's release. It's not for you, it's for the dog. So you might say, oh, I walked out, I paused, I took a big breath, I smiled, and then I released the dog. It's not what you did, it's what's your dog doing while you're doing all this. And your dog was sitting tall as you were walking out, got lower. As you stood still, they knew that the release was about to happen, took that step forward, leaned in, started lifting their bum up, and you gave them the release. So the release is a reward, and you just rewarded the dog starting to break on their own. And that's how you go from bomb-proof down to work to be had very, very quickly. All right, so you want to train with a dog who is confident and competent, because then your job as a handler is just to make sure the dog gets the skills correct. All right, I'm going to give you a little demo with momentum. So we'll just start with this jump here. All right, I forgot to tell you, we're going to have a little competition today. We're going to do another share. So I've got these great toys, some of my favorite toys from For My Merles. If you go to the number 4mymerles.com, love their toys. And I'm going to give away 2 of Brian and Cher's toys without them even knowing it. How cool is that? If they're watching, they just found out about it. So the first one is what I want you to do is you're going to take the link that Linda just put into the comment section, and it's a link for this page. Share it on your Facebook page. So just post it to your Facebook page, and you can say, Susan's got this great training workshop, and the important thing is it's got to have the hashtag dog training for agility, because that's how we're going to track you and find a lucky winner to win one of my favorite toys. All right, so I'm going to get momentum up and ready, and you share this page to your friends, tell them to join in the fun, dog training for agility. You could be winner, winner, pull toy dinner. No, not really. Okay, Menti break. All right. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, I get to take one mic off, which is good because I'm wearing 2 mics, and the weight of 2 mics on stretchy pants equals your pants falling down. Probably not something you want to do on live feed on Facebook. Okay, so I got this one, and it belongs to this one, and I'm going to give that to Dr. Phil. See what I did right there? Nice. Okay, can you give me that thing? We're going to play if you give me the thing. That it. So I've got the jumps nice. That's not how we play. So if I'm tugging with my dog and I'm teaching you and I'm tugging with my dog, but she doesn't give me the kind of tug I think she can, then I'm just not going to tug. That is mine. If you want to tug with me, you got to give it to me. That's better. That's better. That's better. All right, so the jumps are nice and low because she hasn't had a ton of a warm-up. Here's what I want. If you send your dog to a jump, do you have to give it to me, give it to me, and sit? Do you have to throw a toy out there to get your dog to take the jump? Or do you have to show motion to get your dog to take a jump? Or can you just ask the dog to go take that jump? All right, you ready? Come here. Jump! Hey, hey, hey! So, you notice that the toy was there as a reward. I did not, give it to me! I did not get in here and sit. I didn't throw the toy out there first. Always be testing them. Agumi, what was us doing? Good. Ta-da! You don't get to go. One more time. What was us doing? Yeah, I thought that was it. All right, it's my turn to go and pick up the toy. Bum, ba-dum. It's a mine, it's a mine, it's a mine, it's a mine, it's a mine. You don't get it, it is a mine. A little bit of dog training right there for you. Okay, you want to try it again? And sit. Do you see the smoke coming out of the ears? What was us doing? Yes. Good. Jump. Yay! Woohoo! I got it. Nice. All right, so do you have things attached to your behavior? Do you have the illusion of a behavior, or do you have that behavior? So if I wanted her, that's pretty close, but what if I wanted her to go up onto that table? Hey, you little, can you? Come here. Keep going, on the bench. So one cue, she runs away from me, runs the length of the distance, or length of the training building, and gets on that bench. One cue. That's what I want. I want her to stop and look back. Is that far enough? No, I think I told you to do something. Are you ready to steady? Where's the back? And jump. Tan, 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 tan. Whee! Good girl. Okay, so it doesn't matter if it's a jump, if it's a tunnel. It doesn't matter if I'm standing here or if let's see, I'm going to kneel down here. Come here. Do you want to do your go, go, go? Yeah, there's a jump out there. And go, jump. Yahoo! Okay? Did you think I was hurting you? Did you think I was hurting you? That's why I love these toys. They throw, they tug, get the finger, don't. Us was tugging. I would like to do another hop it up. Get this thing first. Bring it to me. No, so this is a dog who would prefer to do agility than to do tugging. Upping, please. So I'm not going to let her do another obstacle until, I wasn't actually going to let her do another obstacle, but I will if she'll tug with me. What was us doing? That better. Not good enough. Yeah, that better. Out. Woo! I didn't like that one. Go. Yeah, there you go. Okay? So a little bits of dog training in there. Yay, that was fun. That was fun. LOH, do we have any questions on anything I've talked about? Perfect. All right. Pardon me? Oh, well, they can watch it back. That was really good. You want to hop it? No, we're done. You got to hop it up there. Okay. Nice. Okay, so we've talked about illusion versus understanding. We've talked about the two big things that you may be doing that sabotage your training. Now we're going to talk about what you can do right now to evaluate what you've got. The first thing, and I got to tell you, I so in favor of this. I've been, you know, I've had it from my mentor, Bob Bailey. I've heard it over and over and over and over again that you're going to have success when you video your sessions and you know what's going on. And so I look at my training, I look at my competition, and I see the little nuances that I want to pick up on. So if you want to go from illusion to bomb-proof, number one thing you need to do is video your training. Know exactly what's going on, all right? When you're watching it back, don't try to think of what that dog is thinking. I want you to be present for the behaviors you see, the little things like, I could see when I sent her, she was about ready to break or sit, so I decided to proof it. I didn't care that I was supposed to be teaching you. I thought, what a great teaching model for you. I'll make my dog make mistakes. And then you're going to learn by the training that you see me do. The same with when she wanted to do another dog walk and I wanted her to hug. Learning by those little nuances. So 5 key steps to evaluating what you've got. Do you have an illusion or do you really have behavior? Number 1 is going to be video. Okay, here you go. Number 2 is going to be evaluate what you have. Yeah, that's a great idea, Phil. Okay, so step number 1 is video is your friend. Video your sessions and take a look at, I like to do it right away. And then I'll go to my journal and I'll write a couple key things in of what I want to do, what I want to change, okay? So number 2 is you've got to know, all right, you can get that, search, that's a girl. You've got to know what your ideal is. And the video here is going to tell you what you have. Let me just change this here. What you have. So know what you want, know what you have. Did I spell that right? Yeah. Okay, so know what you want. So number 1, video everything. Number 2, if you're evaluating, you've got to know what you want, what you have. Okay, so when you're looking at what you have, here's where you've got to look at what is built into supporting that illusion. Do you have behavior only when you throw a toy first or only when the dog sees the cookie? Do you have behavior only when the dog is nearby? So to get these, we're going to go to number 3 is the distance. So I could sit on the floor and get my dog to do any obstacle in this building. She's a 2-year-old dog who just started her agility career recently, all right? So it's knowing that I'll go into competition not with illusion of behaviors, but with bomb-proof behaviors, okay? What I believe are bomb-proofs, and when I get to an event, guess what? They're not all bomb-proof, but they're closer to a bomb-proof than they are to illusion. I go to my first event, I see what I have and what I want, and I do the training at home to bring them back up to bomb-proof, where they were before I started trialing. Okay, so distance. What is tied into the distance away your dog will work? Now, if you're a super fast runner, you may not even care about distance, but I promise you, you're tying your dog's top end speed to your top end speed. And there may be a tricky maneuver that your dog is not going to power out of the same way a slower handler's dog will power out of, because that slower handler's dog's speed is independent upon the handler, myself, moving. Okay? So distance is something that is a huge benefit to all handlers, particularly those whose dogs are faster than they are. My dog's top end speed is much faster than than mine. It's a great benefit to those whose dogs are not confident. They're kind of like, we refer to them as the Velcro dog. They don't want to leave your side. Putting all the layers in to create that great distance actually increases the confidence. And remember, that's what we want from our dogs in the ring, competence and confidence, right? So it helps the dogs who maybe are a little bit worried, helps the handlers who are slower, and it helps all handlers who want to create top-end speed for their dog. And if any of you do games like snooker or gamblers, obviously you need distance skills for that. So evaluate right now, how far away can you get the same speed and drive from your dog? They'll just go on one cue and do what you want them to do, all right? The next thing you're going to evaluate is the duration. Now this is for control behaviors. So if you have a start line or your dog does a seesaw and you keep running, do they hold that position until they've decided it's long enough, or do they hold until they hear the release from you? So duration behaviors, this is how well or how long will the dog continue to do that behavior, and you can build in any one of these, you can put a plus sign. So my dog will hold a start line brilliantly, provided I'm 5 feet away. But when I add distance to duration, kind of goes bye-bye, all right? And the last thing that we're going to look at is the different number of distractions. This is where the briefcase comes back into play. This is where anything that your imagination can think of. Now, I first go to things that are likely going to happen in a trial. So the go, or ready, or whistles, or the sounds of other dogs barking for momentum. It's the sound of a seesaw. Those are distractions that, can I still get the same behavior from my dog with these things built in, all right? And then you just go from things that will happen. On our way to bomb-proof, we're going to throw in distractions that will never happen, but they are a really good test of how solid that behavior is. So for example, Kim, her dog Switch, just loves tennis balls. So we love to, we've got a tennis ball cannon gun. We love to shoot tennis balls by him while he's weaving and do all kind of really cool things to test how well he understands. Do it no matter what the distraction in your environment. Okay, so these are your 5 steps to evaluate your current behavior, and do it for every piece that you have in agility. Do it for your start lines, your weave pulls, your contacts. Do it for a spread jump, a single jump, a wall jump, a broad, a broad jump, a panel jump. Anything, any skill, and then you're going to put it into, do it for threadles and backsides and 270s, and there's a number of skills that you're going to evaluate looking at this and really see how are your behaviors bomb-proof or are they illusions. All right, in our next video, I'm going to give you the step-by-step training that allows you to grow that confident, competent dog at any distance. So we're going to build, I'm going to show you the layers that will help your dog grow in their understanding, all right? And we're just going to carry on with the dog training in agility. That's coming up in video 2. All right, I've got one more toy to give away. Thanks, Brian and Cher, who don't know I'm giving away their toys. By now they probably do. And here's what I want. Does anyone know how long we've been on? Okay, so during the past 43 minutes, I've covered a lot of topics. I've covered the 2 big reasons why your training may be sabotaged. Your training at home may be sabotaging your success in the ring. I've walked you through the keys that you can do to evaluate what you currently got and the differences between illusion and understanding. What I want you to do is I want you to take 1 or 2 key takeaways and just think about what are the gems from today's workshop. We're going to have a post. We'll put a post up on my Facebook page, on my Susan Garrett main Facebook page, and I want you to post your gem under that post. All right, so somebody on our team will put in that URL right now. First they have to create the post, so give them a second. We're going to give you until tomorrow to think of what is your big takeaway from today's workshop. How is today's workshop going to impact you and your dog? Or maybe how did today's workshop really solidify your understanding of this key concept? What aha moment did you have? And maybe it was just, oh, I forgot about that. I knew that, but I forgot about it. So think about, and you can put up more than one, because what we're going to do is we're going to look over the next 24 hours, we're going to look at all the gems that get posted to our main Facebook page, and we're going to pick one, and we're going to send you another one of those amazing For My Merle tug toys. And when I say they're amazing, I mean, I just love them, because you can throw, when you're doing distance work, you can throw them, amazing distance, but they're still soft if they happen to hit the dog. Love them. Okay, so any questions, Linda, that I should be addressing before we sign off here for today? Video 2 is going to be Thursday, by the way. We'll post that while Linda's getting me the question. I just want to sneak that in. Okay, one question.
What happens when you don't know the trigger that may be associated with setting up the wrong behavior?
What happens when you don't know the trigger associated with setting up the wrong behavior? I don't think I quite understand that question, but here's the thing about triggers. We can never be 100% sure what the triggers are. All we can do is test and evaluate. And what you want to do is, triggers have a threshold. So when you go over that dog's threshold, it triggers a certain response in the dog. So for example, going back to momentum on the weekend of the trial, me setting her up in front of that tunnel triggered her to just go a little over threshold to, I can't hear you and I can't sit. And so all that I did was exactly what I did here. Did you hear what I said? And if that wasn't enough, I would have just taken her and walked in a circle. And if that wasn't enough, I would have taken her back outside, near the beginning of the ring, and then come back in. So we don't know, we can't be sure of what the trigger is, but what we can do is look at all the possibilities and try to get rehearsal in similar situations where we keep it under threshold, because your goal is a confident, competent dog, and that confidence comes from rehearsals of doing exactly what we want each and every time we ask. Now, while we're hoping for those rehearsals, you've also got to look at what rehearsals of what we don't want are happening at the trial, because those rehearsals are building a reinforcement history for your dog that you are now fighting against when you're trying to create the behavior you want. Okay?
Okay, the next one.
Yes? Yes?
How would you begin with teaching commitment? My girl struggles to leave my side in some situations and doesn't have a fantastic commitment to the obstacle.
That is an excellent question. So the question is, how do we go about teaching commitment? And that actually is the topic for video 2. It's going to be included in what I'm sharing with you in video 2, is how we get commitment and what happens if, what I call a park and bark. So see if I can set up a park and bark. Sometimes Minty will give it to me, but not very often. So, all right, Minty, break. Put your paws up, put your paws up, put your paws up, 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 up. Hey, give out of me. So I'm going to try and create a park and bark for you. Moo. So the toy is going to be out here. I'm going to take my athletic shoes off so I can move a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to send her to wrap around this, and she's not going to want to. She's going to want that toy. Come here. Come here. Ready? No, 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 no. Do you see that hesitation? I call that a park and bark, right? Where she stops and yaps at me and says, I can't do what you're asking. I want my toy. All right? Come here, come here, come here. No, 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 no. It's still not good enough. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. Come here. No, 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 no. So now she's experimenting. She said, well, I turned this way twice. Maybe you want me to turn the other way. So I'm going to help her be successful here. Ready? No, 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 no. Get it! So did you see what I did? Did you see how I helped her? What was happening? And again, this is my observation. I'm not telling you what I think she was thinking. Lord knows I wouldn't want to be inside her head. Can you? Down. Nice. So the first 3 times I did it, I sent her in this direction, and I kept moving in this direction. So my pressure is saying, go ahead, just take that toy. Go ahead. But yet the words out of my mouth were saying, take the jump. Na means take the jump. So there was conflict, and the conflict created frustration, which created the bark. All that is what I observed. I can't be 100% sure. That's what I observed, all right? And all that I did, all that I changed is I still put pressure, but I walked slowly to allow her to make that turn before I accelerated forward, okay? So getting commitment isn't always easy, and we will talk about what you can do. I gave you one little example of what you can do if you're creating a choice for the dog on this one, but I know other examples where the dog just won't leave. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Is that it?
That's the
Two important questions. Okay. Share on your Facebook page if you think there's other people who love agility. I love sharing my experience with everybody in the agility world. So share on your Facebook page. Ask people to join in our community here. Join in the conversation. Start your own conversation. If you haven't put in what your biggest dog training challenge is on our post where we have our survey, you can just add dog training challenges to that. Put one in there if you have one that's not there. And hearts to everybody out there. Hearts for the dog training and agility. And I will see you on Thursday. We're going to let you know, we'll set up a post of what time it was. And the last thing before you go, if you look up to the banner on this page and you see my free MP3, it's just about ready to go. We will be sending it out before the end of this week. You need to be on that email list to get this. And I promise you, if you are training, and especially if you are competing in the sport of agility, you are going to want to have this. We are going to put it out for sale later, but just for the next couple of weeks, we're giving it away free to the members of this community only. All right, that's not true. My Agility Nation community gets it as well. But those are the only two places you can get it for free. After that, it's going to be available for sale. So be sure you get on the list to get that. I promise you, you're going to want that MP3 download. Okay, so that's it for today. Thanks to LOH and Phil and the girls and Minty being a good girl. And we'll see you guys on Thursday.